An invitation sent. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well. I'm in my home city of New York.
And we're going to tell everybody what's going on. So everyone's saying hello. For those of you who come to the baking club on a regular basis, we all know Miss Ola. She is our baking correspondent. She's becoming a pastry journalist. And you've now been to Valerie Gordon's pastry shop. You've been to Cake Picnic. And now tell everybody who you are and kind of what happened.
I'm Miss Ola. I'm just Ola. I had the pleasure of attending an event in New York City this Wednesday afternoon where basically we ate cake with Levy Beranbaum and Dorie Greenspan. Everything just happened as a spur of a moment. I think everybody kind of knows my love and affection for Rose Levy, which actually started from Kathleen. I did not know who Rose Levy was until I met you, until you introduced me to her.
But you brought her to me in terms of that live.
Exactly. So that's
Okay.
the fun part. Shortly after Bake Club, you speak so highly of her. And one thing that always stood out to me was when you talked about when you were a home baker before you went to pastry school, you learned everything from her book. And that really stood out to me. Earlier on, when we started Bake Club, I found an opportunity where she was doing a Zoom where she was celebrating her birthday and she was baking her favorite cake for her birthday. It just happens that I also celebrate birthdays very similar times to her. We're both Aries. So I said, well, that'll be my birthday gift to myself, because one of my biggest goals is always to be able to bake my own birthday cake. I'll bake with Rose. Once I joined that Zoom, I just saw how authentic she was. When I joined her birthday celebration Zoom earlier this year to also celebrate her birthday and the release of the 35th anniversary cake Bible, everything just sparked my interest. And it was perfect because I was also celebrating my birthday. Once I joined the Zoom, I was just taken aback by her authenticity. Her husband was there. She was there and they were just in their kitchen, and she really made it relatable and made it look so easy and simple. So I said, okay, great. And it just so happened that week also, we were also doing another chocolate cake. And that's when I was like, no, you have to try this. That cake just blew my mind. And I think everyone's, yours included. And from then on, I started following her online, following what she does. She has a great online presence. And that's how I found out about this event. So this event that I attended in New York was sponsored by the International Association of Culinary Professionals, which Rose Levy is a member of. Come to find out, they were having a summit this week. And as part of the summit, this event came up as an opportunity. I wasn't aware of that. I just saw that there was an opportunity to eat cake with Dorie and Rose Levy. I said, I'm there. I'm there. Initially, because of the short notice, and obviously I live in LA now, I thought there was no way I could make it. So I reached out to you, Kathleen, and said, maybe you could go. Unfortunately, you couldn't make it, but then you encouraged me that, no, why don't I go? And I said, wow.
That was on Monday. That was on Monday.
And I was like, well, if tickets are still available, if I can catch a red eye, I'm there, because literally New York to LA is a path I take often. I was raised in New York. It's really my first home. I'm just really a transplant in LA. So I decided, you know what, Tuesday morning, if tickets are still available, I'm going to get on a red eye that night. And I did. And Kathleen was rooting me on the whole way. I did feel like, what am I doing? Is this crazy? But you know what? I called my mom. She lives in Queens. I said, I'm coming. And somehow between the universe aligning, everything aligned, I landed on a red eye on Wednesday morning, landed about 8 a.m. I went straight home, changed, and head right back out. And by 1:30, I was sitting in the presence of Dorie.
And you had in your hands to arrange to be delivered.
Both books. So Amazon came through for me this one time too. I ordered on Amazon the night before also, on overnight delivery, the Cake Bible, and Anytime's Cake. It was really one of those things that everything just came together for me. But I took a chance. I just felt, when else would this ever be in a city that I know and love? I'm so familiar with. Tickets are still available. And I just knew it was something that I had to really push and do. And I'm so great I did. Once I got there, I was welcomed with open arms, even not just by Dorie and Rose, but also just from the members of the professional club, the IACP. The director was the one actually holding the event. It was her idea for the event. So the event basically was that Dorie's celebrating her book release. So she's basically on tour. Rose Levy actually baked 3 or 4 cakes from Dorie's books. Yes. We also had another cookbook author, Yoshi. She's the one that wrote the snacking cakes books. And she also baked some cakes. It was mind blowing. I was in the room with the highest level of people, book authors, book editors, book indexers, publishers, publicists. And when I tell you, they all made me feel at home. And I shared my story with them. But so many people were kind of intrigued. Wait, how did you why are you here? Right? And I had to share all what we were doing in the Bake Club. That's really what brought me here, because January of this year, before Bake Club, I had no exposure to baking. I had no idea who these people were. I shared with them and they were just so taken aback by what we were doing, how we get the community that we have built. Rose Levy spent an extended amount of time just intrigued. She was just like, tell me more, tell me more. It felt so good to just be acknowledged and to see what we're doing really matters, but it's also so relatable. It was so nice to see that they're real people. For instance, talking to Rose Levy, you would not believe that she actually wanted to become an occupational therapist before becoming a baker. And I shared with her that once in my life, I was a physical therapist. And that's how we just started to talk about how there's a certain type of personality of a baker. And there's certain type of people that bake. It just really resonated how we kind of started on different paths, but how we now still ended up at the same place. She told me that the only reason why she didn't become an occupational therapist was because someone told her that you have to choose your profession doesn't choose you. And she felt like occupational therapy chose her. It was something that she felt that she could express herself artistically and help other people express themselves. She didn't really choose it. And that really was profound for me. And thank God that she actually chose baking, right? I reflected on myself. I definitely chose physical therapy when I did. I can no longer work as a physical therapist. But I said to myself, what do I choose now instead? And I realized that being there meant that I chose baking. I chose the baking community. Baking didn't choose me. I chose baking the same way that Rose chose baking. It made me reflect what the possibilities I could have now. It really affirmed where I am. It was an amazing night. It wasn't very long. It never lasts long enough, right?
No. Tell us what you were wearing and why you wore it.
Obviously, I didn't have much time to prepare or plan, right? I literally had less than 12 hours to get on a flight. But there was this one yellow shirt that had a high necktie. And I've been following Dorie Greenspan. And if you ever follow her, you understand that's her signature look. She always has a necktie and a high collar. And I said, you know what better day to wear this? And as soon as I walked in, she noticed. The first thing she said to me was, I love your shirt. When I tell you, it was literally breaking bread. I felt like I had brunch with Rosie, Dorie, and 12 other amazing people. In total, about 20 people. It was a long table, and we just literally all sat around this table. And in the middle of the table, they presented all the different cakes that were baked by Rose and Yossy from the cookbook. Really, all we did was just talk. So there was a bundt cake, a chocolate cake, yogurt cake, a French yogurt cake. And there's an interesting history. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the French yogurt pot cake, how they make a yogurt cake from a pot of yogurt, and they do the measurements like 1 pot of yogurt, 2 pots of flour, 1 pot of milk, something like that. But that was interesting. Okay. I will tell you my favorite of the day is a Swedish visiting cake. Overwhelming. Everyone loved this Swedish visiting cake. It's almost an almond frangipane cake, but it had rum-soaked raisins. And the story behind that visiting cake, as Dorie explained it, was that if someone comes over, you're not expecting a visitor. This is a cake that you can quickly whip up, throw in the oven within an hour or less, Yes.
And it's in here?
Highly recommend.
Okay.
I would say that was the showstopper cake of the night. That was the one that overwhelmingly, hands down, everyone was taken away by. But the thing about the cakes in her book, they're simple cakes. So there was also like a lemon bundt cake and a chocolate cake and an almond cake and a raspberry cake. Simple cakes, but flavorful. Very flavorful.
So you also had some champagne, I saw.
Yes, and we did a toast at the end with champagne.
Very elegant.
Yes, yes, very demure. It was really just kicking it back. I can't explain. I didn't get a lot of pictures because I was just so much in the moment. Throughout, the discussions, the conversations, they asked everyone to introduce themselves, what they do, and why they're here. And it was interesting to hear everyone's path to come here. And it was interesting to hear how far and wide people came. I mean, people came from all over for this. And it really spoke to the people that were on the panel. And I had the opportunity to share my story about how I got here because, people were very intrigued. And I don't know if I've shared with the bacon community or even with you very much, Kathleen, but basically, and I still get, bear with me if I get a little emotional, but basically, about 8 years ago, I was working, living my life, and then suddenly I became very chronically ill, critically ill, to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. And no one knew why. Over the years, I came to find out that I had a rare genetic disorder. It tore my life apart. I lost everything that I worked for. For many years, I was bedbound until about a year and a half ago when I was able to find an experimental procedure that actually worked. Over the past year and a half, I've been working to rebuild my life. And part of that rebuilding has been the POP Bake Club, actually. Yes, it has. The thing is, I've noticed in my life is that anytime I've struggled with things, I've always turned towards baking. Coming back home, I was going through my things. When they used to have the Wilton classes at Joann's, and you used to get this little kit, and I found my old Joann's kit, my old Wilton stuff, and I found the certificate, my very first certificate. It was dated 2010. That was 15 years ago. And I said to myself, wow, what was I doing then? And I remember at that time in my life, I moved back home after college. I was working as a physical therapist and I was supporting my dad. He was actually becoming terminally ill then. And I was like, wow, even then I turned towards baking. But the difference between then and now is that at some level I tried it, but I didn't get very far. I didn't have enough support. I didn't have the right exposure. I tried to do the classes, but a lot of that is just more independent learning. But the difference between now and POP is that I have the support of you and the community and the encouragement and the consistency. Because many times for me, it was like, I just had to make it, sorry.
Okay.
I just had to make it from Saturday to Wednesday. And I said, okay, I made it to Wednesday. And I said, okay, then make it from Wednesday to Saturday, And it really changed my life. And one thing that changed my life, I feel like I want to be known for is scaling. The way, no, honestly, and they had to say, I told the same story. They were like, what? I'm telling you, the way you have taught us to scale, me, at least me personally, it has changed my life. Kathleen, my mentor, she taught me that baking skills are life skills. She taught me how to scale. And I use that concept of scaling, prepping your ingredients ahead of time, breaking down the baking process. You scale one day, you bake the other day, you may decorate the other day, you finish another day. Then after you finish, then you analyze your finished product. That methodology, I also applied it to my life. I learned how to scale down my life where I could accomplish tasks that were so challenging because, I'm starting to recover and rebuild. My point to everyone at that was like to encourage them to make baking accessible. First, these legendary, iconic women make baking accessible to the home baker. Now, think about the disabled baker or the impoverished baker people that have limitations but still want to accomplish this. In a weird way, her book about simple cakes did accomplish that, because now it gave accessibility to everyone. And I really appreciate it and thank them, and I wanted to show them how big of an impact that can make.
You were really brave in doing it. You just
was.
did it and made it look easy. And
Your support.
Good.
And I also wanted to highlight the organization that held this event. It was a 2-day summit. That evening, after the cake event with Rose and Dorie, they were having an award ceremony to honor all culinary creators, book creators, media, digital, photography. The next day, they had a day-long summit, different talks, different organizers, different networking. It was actually founded in 1978 by a group of cooking school owners and instructors. They created an international association of culinary professionals, but one of the early members were Julia Childs, Jack Pepin, and Ann Willen. And basically what they do there, where they can share experiences, expertise, and advice, and support each other in ways that lead to unparalleled growth and professional success. So I just wanted to share that with anyone who might be looking for anything like that. They're a great organization. I experienced them personally. A big thanks to the president, Nancy. She was the one that made me feel the most welcome there.
You have a knack for doing this sort of thing, and it's been really fun to watch you do something that I couldn't do.
You know what was interesting about the experience that was so intimate? I told Dorie before I left, we'll find each other again. This won't be the last time. And I tell you, honestly, I don't know when or how. When you have a connection with someone that's really so authentic, you just know, because I think we could all show that we share the same type of love and affection and purpose. We were driven by the same things. When you can really, I get her. She got me. She saw me.
Yes.
I saw her. But I was really encouraging her to join TikTok.
I'm glad that they take the time to write books, because I assume it's very time consuming. And I went through all my books the other day, not knowing if we would be able to connect. And I grabbed a few of Dorie's. I mean, she's worked with Pierre Hermé, who's an amazing French pastry chef, and written books with him. I had an old cake book from her from years ago. And then, of course, I have all of Rose's books. So the fact that she did a new book, making it more accessible, I think is really nice. We both listened to the NPR interview she did recently about this, and I thought it was a really good interview if people want to look that up. We should probably wrap it up. Is there anything else that you thought of while we were talking that you forgot to mention?
I think for me, my biggest tagline will always be bake bravely.
Bake bravely.
Be brave with your baking. It'll take you places that you never thought you could take. As I shared with my story, with all the years of disability and continued disability, I could tell you I honestly got to a point of where I stopped dreaming. But this experience showed me something about life that I've never experienced before, that you can have dreams come true for dreams that you personally never dreamed. I never had this dream for myself, but this experience really felt like a dream come true. I was bold enough and brave enough to take that step.
I'm proud to say that through baking, which I believe is a generational thing, we are actively helping to pass on that conversation, the excitement that you don't even need to bake. If you can't bake today because you have limitations or other things going on, or it's just not the right time, you can still share in the joy and the excitement and read about it and talk to other people. Thank you, Ola. I don't have enough superlatives or no words. I really am speechless for what you've done and what you've created. And I just appreciate you in a way that I don't know that I can even communicate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you even more beyond words. Honestly, you're some of the reason how I just get through the week.
Just amazing.
It is, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
And I don't want to say goodbye, but thank you. And we'll see you on Wednesday. But let's DM because I want to go back and remember which recipe you recommended from Dorie's new book. All right. Well, have a wonderful time with your mother.
Yes.
And I wish you good health. And I know that getting home will be nice, but I'm glad you get to stay in New York for a little while.
Yeah, no, this is home for me. It feels so good to be back. Oh, the New York in me is alive again.
All the POPers say goodbye, Ola. Bye. Thank you.
Too bad I don't know how to hang up. Okay. I think you have to let me go.
Oh, disconnect. Gotcha. Disconnect Ola only. I did it. Okay, perfect. Is that amazing? I mean, I don't know what to say when I see other people amplifying the message and joining people together. It's wonderful. I can't wait to edit this video and have it forever and ever. It's such a gift to have Ola on so many of these chef interview type things, which is what I'll add it to. It'll be on my YouTube playlist under chef interviews. And she is our baking correspondent, so who doesn't love that? I'm so glad Ola got to come. I'm so glad all of you are here. Thank you. Thanks for spending a Saturday with me. I was thrilled to bring Ola along and to share her story. I've looked forward to this all week. I've been so curious and I didn't want to hear anything until she came. Alrighty. Happy Saturday. See you Wednesday. Take care, everybody.